about to start. We'll talk about code or whatever we'll talk about today. It's about to start, so please hang tight while I check that everything is okay. Sound check, camera check, lights check. How's my hair? Oh, wait, I don't have any hair. Maybe put some pants on and I am good to go. So get ready wherever you are, 'cause this stream is about to start. Get ready wherever you are, 'cause this stream is about to start. Hello everyone and welcome to another meeting of the C++ Digital Signal Processing, JUCE, and plenty of other things study group. And yeah, you saw me switching from OBS to Skype. We are still in this janky setup. We are gonna make do. Hello Fotis and Cwits, how are you all doing?
Hello.
Hi, good.
Very good.
Yeah, great in general.
Yeah. All right.
How are you?
I am okay. I am in a different place, different internet connection. I'm not even sure if the stream is gonna work. I hope it does. I'm doing well. Yeah. And I guess I can start with my update, because when it comes to C++, I didn't do a thing.
Oh,
I am sorry to admit, but I am like apartment hunting. I'm doing stuff. I am busy, but not with C++, unfortunately. But I bet that you all are working on C++ or related things, and I want to hear all about it.
the awkward pause.
Good joke.
So Fotis, how about you
Yes.
start us off?
Yes, one sec. I accidentally didn't load the Lua edits that I made the last time. I had it on a different drive, this one. Anyway, we're good to go. One sec, I'm gonna share
While
my
you're doing
screen.
that, let's say hello to Mage and Tail.
Hey guys.
Hey, it's great to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
So I'm not gonna share my sound because we're actually gonna look into code, right?
Yeah, and Fotis did his homework and submitted a pull request from
Yeah.
last meeting. I did not do my homework. I didn't merge the pull request yet, but I'm going to.
Oh,
It's
okay.
in the queue.
It's all I did actually. I didn't. I did rewatch the stream, so we're gonna have a recap of what we did last time. So we did, in case the viewers don't remember, we edited two of Leandro's Lua scripts. The one was about exploding tracks into multi-tracks and actually keeping the names of the takes or items or whatever. And the next one, which I don't think we created a copy of, was it was the same file. We're going to create an argument that if the file that we're going to input is an AC3 file, then we're going to tell it to decode it in ffmpeg, but without the AC3 dialog normalization on. So I'm gonna play back a snippet from last week, from the previous stream.
No way.
Yeah, I have it downloaded. I back up things with YouTube DLP. And of course I forgot to share my computer's sound. No, I didn't forget it. I didn't think of doing it. But one sec, while I do this, I have to find that that AC3 file that we were working on.
While you are doing that,
Yes.
in this last Reaper update, not the last, the latest, I hope there are others. In this latest Reaper update, there is just one little item in the changelog that made me feel very happy. They added an action, a stock action, to stop and move the edit cursor to the place where you stopped. And this is the behavior that I like. I like when you stop the playhead and it stops where it is, not snaps back to where it was when you hit play. So I like the usual behavior you get on YouTube and every other player like VLC and whatever. That's how I reason about timelines, and that's what I like. And I wrote a script. You can imagine, it is a ridiculously simple script, but I wrote a script and I replaced my spacebar with that script. It doesn't, my spacebar doesn't do the usual play stop in Reaper. It does that other thing that stops and moves the edit cursor to the playhead. And now there is a stock action that does that. I felt seen. It made me happy.
Nice.
And it made one of my scripts obsolete. And I'm always very happy when my programs become obsolete.
That's a weird flex, but okay.
No, it's like I made my dent in the universe. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I became obsolete. That's my goal in life.
Ouch. By the way, I did a clean install of Reaper because I had issues with the latest Toucan Studios JSFX, and I figured out the problem. The problem was that I had some JSFX that I had downloaded from the stash.reaper.fm, and one of them had an earlier version of the what's its name, JSFX oversampling Inc., something like that. And it was conflicting with the one that John used in his Toucan, and I couldn't use his latest EQ, the Poltec style one, the EQ Toucan. And it drove me nuts until I found this. I had to do multiple trial and error things, including a clean install. But I did manage to back up things, and I found the issue, so there's that.
Interesting.
So I found a different AC3 file. It's a commentary from a movie, the director's commentary. Let's see. I'm gonna copy it to a separate folder.
Were we supposed to be seeing your screen? Because I don't think you're sharing screen right now.
No, not. I will in a minute.
Okay.
Sorry.
But that's an interesting problem that you ran into, because I thought that the includes, or the imports, I guess, the imports in JSFX were relative to a path, and that John was making all the dependencies local, so creating folders with copies of the libraries that he imported. So the issue that he ran into was not supposed to happen in the first place. It's kind of interesting that it did.
Yeah, and I think that Psyche already uses these libraries in his own plugins in separate folders, and they never caused conflicts. So it's weird. And also, now that I have made a clean install, I have a different weird problem with Reaper. I'm gonna share my screen. The problem is that when I drop the file, an audio file in Reaper, let's load one. This is mine, by the way. You don't have to worry about copyrights things. I have to add a disclaimer all the time. So, yeah, one sec. This XDNA thing is from Pelo Reaper. It's the only thing that makes the Reaper installation slightly slower, but it's good. Anyway, so now I have to load a larger one. So it used to be that this building pics thing was turned off by default. Now it's not, and I have to click this hide window all the time. And I couldn't find an option.
There is an option.
But
I don't remember what it is, but probably under appearance and peaks waveforms.
problem here.
It doesn't seem to be there. But I'm pretty sure I have seen that option in the past.
Yeah, and I found a Cocos forum thread from like 2006 where it was requested as a feature to be turned off by default, and they did it. So it's so weird that it actually became turned on by default.
Huh. Yeah, in my case it is turned on by default, but I don't mind it, so I leave it on.
Okay. Anyway, let's do some Lua, right? Again, I'm gonna play the last stream, just the part where we said what we were supposed to do. There are actually two lines, I think 27 and 33 that we have to, these ones that we have to edit.
Yeah.
So let's, oh, I already had it on. I did like that one and twice. And we did everything here, so why
that you have this specific decoder, and if you do, then you want to set a flag, DRC.
Yes, this one. It has to be 0.
Scale
0
equals 0. Yeah, that's something that we can do. Perhaps let's not do it now. Maybe it's where with an extension, or maybe somewhere in the script there will be a place where we detect what kind of stream we are working with.
Yeah.
It's around line 37, it seems.
And, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
around line 33 and 34. Yeah, that's where we are looking at the information for that stream. So in line 33, we have the pattern, the Lua pattern we use to extract information. You may need to change this Lua pattern because you may need to somewhere find the codec type, which we are not dealing with. We are just dealing with whether it's audio or video. So you probably want to change this to capture more information. Then you probably want to...
Okay, let's do this first. By the way,
yeah. I made promises and now you're going to hold me accountable. I love it.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this, but Extreme Rain, you saw it, yeah. He made a better page for Rescript API, and it's searchable.
Yeah, I know of that
but
one.
Are we going to need it right now?
Yeah, it's not new and I know of it. I don't use it myself because I'm... First of all, when you look at the docs in Reaper, you are looking at the specific version of Reaper you have installed with all the extensions you have installed. So there's that. And second, the aesthetics of the page is not great. When you look at, not at this one looks great, but the default Reaper one is just a plain page. But I'm okay with that. I can sort of navigate it. I got used to it.
Oh, okay.
But I know of this one, and it looks great.
And it seems to be kept up to date.
It is.
So that's it. So let's go here. First, we're going to determine, we have to apply something to this pattern that makes it look for the AC3 file extension, right?
I guess first of all, we need to know what we are looking for. You can see that this is a pattern that is going to match against the variable called file information, which is the result of, you can see in line 26, is the result of calling a command that inspects a file. And when I say inspect, I just mean it is going to call ffmpeg with that file as an input, and that's what you can see in line 24. So you can see that it's calling ffmpeg with a file as an input, but it doesn't do anything to the file. It doesn't convert the file in any way. It doesn't apply any kind of filter. So when you call ffmpeg like that, it's going to spit out just a bunch of things that it knows about the file. The length, the number of streams in the file, where each stream is something like an audio track or a video track. And then all this information is just dumped. And then that's the thing we are matching in line 33, where the pattern is there. It's matching against that information. So I think that the first thing we need to do is call ffmpeg, just like we are calling it in the script, but call it on the command line so we can see what the outputs look like for the kind of file that you have.
So should I turn on ffmpeg and run it via the command line?
Yeah, so
Let's do it.
oh, you have ffmpeg. Yeah, that's the first step. Is having an executable of ffmpeg. You have
I'm
that.
gonna place it in the same folder as the file
That's
to
convenient.
make our lives easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, to make our lives easier. I actually have quite a lot of bat scripts for ffmpeg.
Oh.
I use this all the time, yeah. And this is how most of them look like. No, this is not one. For decoding of files with audio, I use. Or maybe even if it's, I know it's lossy to lossless here, but I do it for comparison reasons.
And
I
it is
use
useful
like-
to do this when you're editing the files in Reaper, because I have found in the past that if you have some compressed audio and you start cutting it, then it may get out of sync with video.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It has happened to me. Anyway, so let's load. Oh, come on. Okay, now we're supposed to do the CD peg exit.
Yeah, so
now,
you don't want to just call ffmpeg like that.
Yeah.
You want to give it as an argument -i for input, and then the file name, so vacancy2.ac3.
Oops, forgot to do. Oh, no, it's not 3, it's 2.
So now we can see that it has just one stream of media in that file, and we can see that the audio format is AC3. And I suppose that that is what we want. We want to match for audio, column, space, something, 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 comma, right? Because that's
Yeah,
going to be
and-
our anchor points for matching the audio codec.
And just so you remember, if we load this file in EAC32, this is a front end for EAC32 that's called JUCE, and we dump this. I don't know if it's possible to see this information with the ffmpeg, but it does show up here. Anyway,
Interesting.
let's go back. It won't show
Is it-
up with other AC3 files. It's per case. Some people use it, other people don't use it. In some movies may have dial norm, other movies may not have dial norm.
Oh, and
So-
do you want to detect this? Do you want to know if this is the case, or are you okay with always passing that flag?
No, I'm okay with always keeping it 0, so it doesn't decode it no matter what.
Oh, actually, I just had one idea. What if we always pass that flag to ffmpeg?
Oh,
If it
okay.
doesn't recognize the flag, it may ignore the flag
Oh,
and proceed. And
okay.
if it does recognize the flag because the file is of that type, AC3, then it may use the flag. Do you think that that could work?
Yeah, because I think that the decoder inside fullbar 2000, which is based on ffmpeg, is doing something similar, I think.
Interesting. I'm not sure this is going to work, because maybe
Okay.
ffmpeg is going to see a flag that it doesn't recognize and it's going to freak out. That would be actually a good thing for it to do, because you are supposed to not just accept any kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Contrary to Postel's law, I don't think you should be accepting any kind of garbage. Anyway,
Yeah. And Reaper cannot load AC3 files by default. So there's also that.
oh, so hang on, how is this going to work in Reaper? How is this script going to work if you cannot even put that file in a timeline to begin with?
We're going to mux it in an MKV file.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Fair enough. But that doesn't change anything, because the stream... Reaper may not recognize the container, but it does recognize the stream of
audio in AC3 format. So if you put it in a different container, then Reaper will be happy to import that, right?
Yeah, I think I think I've done it. I'm just gonna confirm it right now.
Okay.
1 sec. Vacancy 2. You see that if it only recognizes the audio, it makes it as an MKA. I don't know if Reaper likes that, but we can change the file extension to MKV. It won't affect anything.
Interesting. I didn't even know this extension.
Yeah, and there's also MKS for subtitle streams.
Cool.
Yeah. So does it load MKA? Nope, but does it load MKV? Oopsie, I think I ran it. Oh, it does load it.
Okay.
And it's not multi-channel, it is stereo, so it appears correctly, don't worry. It's not a 5.1 surround file. It's a commentary, so it's supposed to be stereo.
Got it.
And it appears so in ffmpeg as well. It says stereo. Yep. And after that, we can do the comparison with Audacium to see if the dynamic range compression has been deleted. Anyway, so should we go back here?
Yeah, let's go back to the script and try this ballistic approach of always passing that flag. So probably want to scroll down a little bit where we call the thing to converge. Scroll down some more. And then we are getting there. So starting on line 62, for instance, starting there, you can see that we are building up the command that we are going to call. And let's just add that other flag that we know we need. What is the flag again? Do you remember? The one that we saw in the...
DRC scale 0. Let's go back. Yeah, DRC underscore scale 2 equals 0.
Fair enough. So...
But we have to add a dash.
Yes.
Because it's an argument for ffmpeg, like the dash input.
Yeah, and like every other argument that you would pass for most Unix commands. All right. So go back to Notepad++, and we need to find the right place to put this. So it seems that this is dealing with one stream, which means, I don't think it matters a whole lot because all these options are interchangeable. So let's just do this as the first thing. No, not as the first thing. After the map seems like a better idea. So let's do this as the last thing before the file name. There you go. Let's do that. And hang on, is this an input option or an output option? Can we see the documentation for ffmpeg again?
Yeah.
Decoder. It is a decoder option. So it's not an encoder option. So we shouldn't be looking at the place where we are, because we are interested in the decoding part of this, which is going to appear above somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, so in line 48, we are passing an input, and we can tell that because there is a -i in the command there. So this converge command parts is what we are interested in. And it seems like for the time being, the convert command parts is just ffmpeg. So yeah, okay. Before the -i, just type in, before the -i, just type in that command that we saw in the documentation. I forget what it was.
This one.
No, don't put the == sign.
Oh, okay.
Just the 0. Yeah, exactly.
Hold on, because I made a clean install, I may have to recreate that new action because I didn't do it. There we go. Is it the second one? Yeah, there you go. There's the second one, yeah. So I saved it, so should I run it?
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen?
Fingers crossed. Doesn't do anything. Did I break it?
Is this file long? Is this like 1 hour of audio?
Yeah, it is.
Perhaps it
should
is
make-
working, but it is too slow. I don't know.
Oh,
if that,
maybe the problem is that it is a stereo file.
why would that
and-
be a problem?
It's exploding it to multiple streams, right? Is it supposed to split it to 2 mono streams?
No, yeah, okay, yeah. Now that you
Yeah,
bring this
it-
up, it makes sense. The purpose of that script is to take multiple streams and break them into different files. But what you are trying to do is maybe break the different channels of audio in one stream and break them into multiple files?
Yeah, I have actually one about this. We talked about it last time. So maybe that's not what we need really. Hold on, let me think. What if we just make a script that doesn't necessarily, a new script, a fork of this script, if you will, that doesn't necessarily explode things, but all it does is call ffmpeg and remove the dialog normalization when you load an MKV like this.
Oh, I see. Interesting. So you would just convert a file
Yeah.
into actually the same format, but you would have another script that would break it into multiple channels. Because the thing that breaks into multiple channels is stocking Reaper. You don't need any script for that, right?
Yeah, and actually I have this, I don't know if this is important, but I actually have an ffmpeg that was created specifically for Reaper. It's quite old, but I think this is what Reaper uses here.
Oh. Okay, but that's
Maybe.
a different issue. It is what Reaper uses to make sense of a file, and I don't think we can, with a script, access that ffmpeg installation, or I don't think it's relevant, actually. That's why I did the way I did it. I installed ffmpeg for you in the right place.
Oh yeah, it loads, yeah.
Okay, so I guess we are back to the beginning of this whole thing, because we want to change the
Yeah.
script in a simpler way. The script will be much simpler than the one we have, because we will just replace one file with another in the timeline. I don't think you need to create tracks, create new items, none of that. So it's a somewhat simpler script.
And to make our lives even easier, I'm gonna create another MKV. I'm just gonna chop a few minutes of audio, so we won't have to process the whole 1 hour thing. So here's how you do it. Hold on, it's gonna load. So what you do is you load the MKV file in MKV Toolnix GUI, and you select after specific timestamps, and I can select like 3 minutes.
It's kind of interesting seeing you using this, because it looks like, I know that they did more than this, but it does look like they just selected some command line flags that seem useful and put a GUI for you to type the parameters in.
Yeah, and it's a lifesaver in a mixing situation. Okay, it finished. Let's abort the job. I only split the first 3 minutes and I can ditch the rest. So, and if we go here, let's confirm that the dialog norm is still in the file. And yes, it is. So the same thing is gonna happen if we load the vacancy to be 001.mkv.
Oh, interesting.
So it
There's more
has
stuff.
it has some extra tags that were written by that MKV thing.
Huh.
You see, MKV Toolnix is just a GUI for MKV merge, and you can see here the statistics.
Yeah, but there's nothing about dialog normalization there.
Yeah, it's still you think.
Yeah.
I don't know how you see the dialog norm in ffmpeg.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I see.
anyway.
Okay, so we are not going to write the whole script together because that's a lot, but let's go over this script and I can give you some pointers and you can try and do it on your own. It will be simpler, perhaps, than the thing we were doing before. So, let's say that you want to select multiple items on the timeline and apply this same kind of processing to all of them. So if that's the case, then you can keep everything up to line 20, because that is just looking at all the items and doing some preliminary work like finding the finding the file that that item corresponds to, and all of that. Just some preliminary work. Then from line 22 onwards, it is inspecting the files. If you want to be fancy, you could keep this part of the code and modify it to do something like detect that the file you're given is really an AC3 and then ignore an item if it's not AC3. Or you can think that if the person is calling your script, they know what they're doing. So you can remove the part that goes from line 22 to 37, because that is just doing some inspection, some error management. You can see that it is doing, like on line 28, it's reporting errors and all of that. If you want to take out the training wheels, you can remove this part of the code because it's not going to do anything fundamental. Then on the medias to convert thing, that part, see line 41, it is saying if a media has more than one stream, then put it in the table to convert. So these are all the medias that we will want to convert. And that's why we modified the script and we ran the script and nothing happened, because we detected that all the items you had selected, it was just one item, but all the items you had selected had only one stream in them. And that meant that on line 43, we saw medias to convert is 0. We don't have the size of the table. That's what the hash means, size of the table. The size of the table medias to convert is 0 because we have no media to convert. And then the script stopped there. And it didn't seem to do anything. Okay, you may want to remove this because, again, it's kind of just error checking. You can pretend that the person calling the script knows what they are doing. Then, starting on line 45, it gets more interesting. You want to convert these files. And in this case, you're not really conversing, I don't think. But anyway, you probably want to keep the variable names and the structure to prevent mistakes from happening. So, the part on line 48 has the change that we need. The DRC scale equals 0, that is there. Then that loop that starts on line 49 and goes all the way down, that loop probably doesn't need to happen at all. Yeah, it doesn't need to happen at all, because what's happening there is you are looping over the streams in the file, but in this case you can pretend that you have only one stream. So as long as that assumption is valid, you can remove this loop. But what you do need to do is, you see how on line 65 and 66 we have a weird thing going on where it says like backslash and then double quote and then double quote again and then dot file dot all this thing. Not the whole line though, just the stuff after the close parens. There you go, just the stuff after the close parens, and down to what happens on line 66 as well. before the close parent. So all of that is specifying a file name for the output. So you probably want to cut this and paste it on line 48 after the name of the media file.
Oh, okay.
So the point of all this is that you are going to be calling ffmpeg with an input, which is your media.file, and you also need an output, which is called just file in this case. The problem is that the file variable hasn't been defined on line 48. You see that the file variable is defined on line 50. And that's because the file name used to be based on the stream in the file. So if you had 5 streams of media in the file, you would end up with 5 files with different names. In this case, you only have 1 input and 1 output, so you can just hard code the name of the output. So you can just you can see on line 53 how we build up a file name. You probably want to borrow from there and build up a file name based on stuff like the media file, based on the number of the stream. In this case, that's not the case. But you build up a file name like that, and that should do it. And then everything else in the loop from line 49 all the way down to 67, all of that can go. Once you take out the interesting bits that I mentioned. Then the line that is actually calling ffmpeg after all this building of the command, we actually call ffmpeg on line 69 and 70, and you want to keep that. Maybe even keep the error checking in line 71 down to 74, just because it doesn't hurt. But after that, there is a lot of code. We are only halfway through the script. And after that, there is a lot of code that is just creating tracks, creating items, and doing all that sort of stuff. We don't need most of that. The only thing we want is to replace what is called the source of the take. So the take has a source, which is actually the file. The take is pointing at the source. We want to replace the source with the source that you created by converting, right? So what you want to do is not really what we do in the script. In the script, we create new items with new sources. What you want is to change the source of an existing item. And for that, you either have to look it up, or there are some hints when we are creating a take. Somewhere in this code, we are creating a take and we are saying what source we want to associate with that take. So it's going to be probably at the end of the script almost.
Oh yeah. We were doing this in the previous.
This line 143 is setting the source, where the source is the file that you have created. So you probably want to do something like this: set media item take source with the new name you generated in the code above. So it is a shotgun surgery, because you're going to be doing a lot of changes to the code, but I hope that by rewatching this and giving it some time, you will be able to do it.
Yeah, and I believe that if I become really good at this, then I could create 2 scripts, one that only does the thing we said, and the other one will be a mutation of this explode multi-stream, so it both explodes multi-stream files and removes the dialog normalization. And I believe it is more and more possible. And if you want, let's do something simpler to take our mind of this. It shouldn't take long before we pass the torch to Cwits. And it's still Reaper related. And it has to do with the virtual keyboard, which I have here, which can be used with the computer keyboard. But the thing is that I want to create a custom map for it. And this is, you probably know who this guy is, right?
Yes.
He's the true warrior of open source software. Anyway, so this is a different map, but he created a different map with those who have the German keywords type. But what I want to do is create a mapping that is akin to the one in Ableton and Bitwig. So this is how they work. I'm gonna play a few notes to see how it looks like in Reaper. How are you supposed to create a chromatic scale? Oh, yeah, the mapping is very weird. ZX, ZXD, V, B, H. But in Ableton and Bitwig, it doesn't work like this. So how it works is this line is the white keys in the keyboard. No, wait, I'm looking at the wrong way. The middle line is the white keys. Some of the top line are the black keys, not all of them. And the Z and X keys are changing the octave, and the C and V keys are changing the MIDI velocity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you could give me some hints on how to do this as well.
I didn't even know it was a possibility to change these maps.
Yeah, you have to create a file that's called reaper-vkbmap.txt, and it should look like this.
It looks like the key should be moved a little bit, like Z should be on the C key.
Yeah.
So you can try to.
Oh wait, that's a different thing. That's probably what we need, but I don't understand this. What are those parameters?
I have never seen anything like this, so I'm not so sure, but my intuition tells me that semicolon means comment, same as in Lisp. So I think that the semicolon and everything after it, you can ignore. So I think that the mapping is like a key. So either like Z or C or V, comma. And in case a key isn't like accessible, so maybe for a weird key that only appears on some keyboards, then there is a number like this one. How do you get a hold of this number? Not so sure. Not so sure.
Oh wait, somebody made a different.
But then the number that comes after, I have no idea. It does look weird.
I should look into this some more, I guess.
Oh, so maybe, here's an idea. Maybe that number means you have the center of the keyboard, and that's something you can set by right-clicking on the virtual keyboard. You set the center, what is usually the C4, but you can set the center.
Yeah.
So maybe those numbers are relative to the center. Like 0 is the center, 1 is, in this case, C sharp, -1 is B.
Oh, there's...
-1 is B, and 1 is C sharp. There you go. That's how it works.
Relative.
Key
it's relative
and relative position. Yeah.
And this guy already did what I wanted to do, but in the plus and minus. I want to do it with Z and X because that's the Ableton way. If you want to try it yourself, you don't have to download Ableton or Bitwig because the same mapping is also used in the free VST Synth Vital. He used the exact same mapping. So just so you know how it works. Anyway.
Oh, and there is a comment in the file. First of all, the comments in the beginning of the file use the semicolon. So my theory was correct. It is using the same kind of comments as Lisp. Second, there is an explanation of those numbers, like 190. What is 190? That's the ASCII representation of a character. So you could use something like escape as part of your virtual keyboard if you wanted, by putting the ASCII character there, because you cannot just type escape, I don't think. You have to just use the number for that. I think that explains it. Interesting. I didn't know this thing.
And for one final thing that you should check out, we have discussed in many streams how big a fan of Air Windows I am. And recently, another person called CH Maha has created his own ports of Air Windows, just like Mark Heath and me. But this person is doing something different. They're creating, I created a smart folder. The names are not actually taken from Air Windows plugins themselves. He has made his own files, but in the edit you can actually see which ones he took it from. So he does comment. Anyway, what this I believe it's a guy, but what this person is doing is he creates their own enhanced versions of Air Windows. So they're doing their own thing with some slight changes, and maybe if you could actually create a GUI for those based on your knowledge of JSFX. I could do something like that as well. And remember how we were discussing how I could take Air Windows and take them to the next level? Well, this seems like a great starting point, seeing as they have ported most of those that I needed, especially the console summing ones. ELSA, extremely light saturation amplifier. And this is purest derived by Air Windows again. And I think also we have some ports of Stillwell and Geraint Love Smooth Limiter, because like CH Maha says here, sorry, where is it? CH Maha realized that the RC limiter based on Geraint Love Smooth Limiter wasn't actually a true peak limiter, so they created one. So if you're interested in this, you can check it out. It also has oversampling now, if I'm not mistaken.
Impressive.
So that's my update for today, and let's move on to Cwits.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all this. Very interesting stuff.
No problem.
I don't know what to tell you guys. So, previous month I was in Latvia, and in my plans was to work on hardware part of my project, but as always, as you know, there was some other things to do, and then to hang out with friends, and then I was there on vacation. And so basically I did almost nothing for previous month. And I started, I did something. At least I can power everything from one power source and not have like bunch of 5 volts adapters and plug in and out them around. So yeah, that's the good thing about it. And when I came back to Malta, I was trying to add analog to digital converter, but if you remember, it requires master clock to work properly. I've tried to add that master clock using external microcontroller, but unfortunately I burned it down, so it isn't working. I don't know why I didn't figure out what's happened actually.
It was a stress test.
Yeah, kind of. I plugged in, it made weird sound and just like small blowed up a little bit.
The magic smoke came out. So can you tell us more about this power supply? Did you do it like from scratch, or are you just getting an off-the-shelf power supply and wiring it to all the components? How are you doing this?
I've got 3 DC converters from AliExpress and just stick them together on one PCB and using 24 volts external power supply, and then downstepping, or how to correctly say that, those 24 volts to 5 and to 12 volts that I need.
And how do you do that? Do you use some sort of, I forget the names of the circuits, but how do you do that?
What?
There are some classic circuits for taking 24 volts and turning it down into 5 volts and that sort of thing. Are you using some of those, or are you using I know there are some to just buy off the shelf at AliExpress. So how do you do this conversion?
It's a second one. I'm using ready to use modules that doing all work for me. So
Awesome.
Everything is pretty much simple.
Yeah, I find that a lot of electronics is just finding the right stuff to buy, because there are many pre-made solutions that work very well, and you don't have to do everything from scratch if that's not the goal of the project.
Yeah, of course. And especially you can find a lot of things on AliExpress and at cheap prices, and it could work. One thing that you have to wait around 1 month till they came to you. So yeah, I'm ordered another microcontroller for work as clock generator, but I have to wait 1 month till it comes. So I've decided to experiment with GUI, graphical user interface, and Qt platform. I can try to share my whole screen, but genetic. So yeah, I have also a screen here connected to my Raspberry, but I can show you. Do you see something?
Yeah, we see that.
Ah, cool. Previously, I was experimenting with it, but I forget everything. So I I can show what I've done previous time. No, I have to do. I have to do here. So yeah, this one was my previous experiments with the Qt and QML language they made. I don't know. Here is like kind of simple file browsers, so we can. I don't know what we can do with it.
Did you do this from scratch, or are there components? I must assume there are components in Qt for file browsers and even waveform visualizers and all of that.
I'm trying to do this from scratch, but this file browser is similar as in my project because it's the same code. Just copy paste it and kind of works.
Oh, so, yeah, the one that was running in the screen of the push.
Yeah. Pretty similar. So yeah, I'm trying to remember how I've done these things, and mostly will be experimenting with Qt and QML language. It looks like JavaScript. No, yeah, Java. I don't remember which one based on which one is based. Where was console.log command in JavaScript?
Yeah, that is very JavaScript-like, but you would not write the onPressed column open brace like that. You would need to say that onPressed is a function. And in this case, you don't say that it is a function. You just start typing code in there. So it is similar to JavaScript, but not quite.
It is based on JavaScript, and probably I don't remember precisely. So yeah, that's all mostly.
But in general, what is your feeling? Do you like Qt? Do you like QML?
I'm not familiar with Qt, I will say at all, but QML looks nice. Yes, it looks not so complicated as C++, and you can connect QML with C++ somehow. Yeah, because in example what I've showed you, basically this code is working behind everything, and this is pure C++, almost pure C++, yeah, with some Qt things. As I think it would be better to write everything in Qt, probably, but I don't want to do it. I don't know why.
And just so you understand, this is not something that you're going to display in the Ableton Push thing. It is a standalone graphical user interface that you...
In a separate display.
Okay.
I will have... I want to have in my project like small box with the display on the top of it, and then you can connect Ableton Push as an external controller, and there will be two displays basically. One 7-inch display, like you saw here, showing similar thing.
Okay.
And the second one on the Ableton Push, but I don't know when it will be done.
Do you already have this main display, or are you going to have to wait 1 month until it gets delivered to you?
I have display for 2 years, so
okay.
It was earlier than I've got Push.
So the only thing missing at this point is the microcontroller for the clock.
Basically, yes. Here was some my previous experiments with the Qt. I don't even... Oh, what's that?
Nice.
Or maybe it isn't mine. I don't remember. There is a lot of things that I have to probably clear out. Oh. Yeah, this one was mine. So yeah, something like that. I'm going really slower than it was previous year, maybe because it's still cold on Malta. At least for me.
I don't think that it matters too much if it's fast or if it's slow, as long as it keeps moving.
Probably you're right, but you know, the people are weird creatures, and at least I want everything to be done yesterday, so...
Oh yeah, I completely get it. I wouldn't stand like you can, like buying stuff at AliExpress and waiting 1 month for it to arrive. When I usually buy local because I want to just have the thing I bought instead of waiting for delivery, let alone 1 month.
Yeah. That's right. But basically, in the local shops, you have like 1.5. How to say that? Higher price, basically.
True. Yeah.
Because in Latvia, I could buy same DC converters for like 10 euros at shop, and on AliExpress they cost, I don't know, 2 euros. Like five times cheaper.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, speaking of power supplies, there is one project that I saw at Moritz Klein. I talked about him before. He has this channel about analog electronics and synthesizers and that sort of thing. And he did a power supply that is similar to the one from Music from Outer Space, I think. And I got all the parts for it. It is sitting on a box. But I am planning on doing a power supply from scratch. So doing the rectifier and then some sort of voltage regulator. And I have all the parts for it. That's why I was asking the questions about doing stuff from scratch, because it sounds interesting. The only thing I will do like the project and get off the shelf is an AC to AC converter, because I don't want to kill myself in the process of experimenting with stuff. So I will be working with a power supply that does plus 12 and minus 12.
It sounds cool. One thing I know about power supplies that the ones made from the transformer is easier to make than the digital ones.
Yeah, that's it. I think that these projects are easier to make, but more importantly, they sound better, because the switching power supplies that you see in most devices these days, they are great for energy consumption. They save energy, but they do fluctuate more, and you get some noise from the power supply. And
yeah, I agree you, but
that's what I heard anyway. I haven't really ran tests myself.
This is schematics of the audio board I have, and on this board, based on this board, I want to make audio inputs and outputs for my project. That there is quite good converters inside, and everything basically ready. All the inputs, all the outputs for headphones and basic 6.3 outputs, and these ones also have like digital power supplies, and this is basically digital power supply, because you have AC, you have there's some frequency it working. I don't know which one, but still it sounds cool. And no. Like,
but is this a device, as far as I understand, this is not a device that you would plug into an outlet. It's a device that works over USB. Isn't that right?
Not only it can work through USB, but also you can plug it to outlet.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Good to know. Well, anyway, I already have the parts. I'm gonna do the transformer-based power supply, and it's gonna be fun. I hope. It's gonna be a full bridge rectifier and everything.
Yeah, I've soldered out the connector. But still, you can basically plug or via USB or via connector. And
I don't remember. I do have an ID14, and I don't remember seeing a plug. Just USB.
Maybe different versions of.
Yeah, I have the Make 2. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
So yeah, somehow like that. Thank you for your attention.
All right, yeah. So let's wrap this up, because we are going to meet again in 2 weeks, and we'll see how this goes. I really hope that you will have your clock issues figured out, and I hope that Fotis will have lots of scripts to show, and I hope I will have something as well.
No worries.
Yeah, I think Lua is like maybe the first programming language that I kind of sort of understand. So that's a big plus.
I like it a lot. I think that Lua is very good for people who are understanding things, and it is a great way to explain the data structures in Lua. I really like, because there's just one data structure you do everything with. The table. As long as you understand the table, you understand every data structure in Lua. And yeah, it does take some time for you to understand the table and every way you can use a table, but it's just one of millions of possible data structures. In C++,
nice.
You would find all the options. Every data structure under the sun has been implemented in C++. In Lua, you have one option. I like the simplicity. And I hope you...
And the funny thing about Lua is that all the kids are using it to create scripts for Roblox, including my students.
Yeah, it's amazing how it's always finding its way into things. I like it a lot. All right, so let's wrap this up. Thank you very much, Fotis and Cwits, for joining us this meeting, and thank you
guys.
Thank you to Mage, Tail, and Nod was one for joining us here on the chat.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. And Tail was giving as he usually does, was giving the answer for that keyboard format file we were looking at.
Oh.
And you have to restart Reaper for the file to
For
be
the
read
changes
again.
to take effect, yeah.
Interesting, good to know. All right, thank you very much for joining us, and
Thank you.
we'll see you all again for the next meeting in 2 weeks. But before that, I will probably do another stream, I guess sometime next week, because this week is still crazy mode, but hopefully next week I'll be able to stream again. Thank you all for joining. See you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the stream, you know how great it has been. Or maybe it sucked, and I am glad that you stuck with me. And soon we'll all be back together for some more coding or talking or chilling. The next time I'll be streaming.